What really happened to Eric Malden in the remote cabin? A cold case secrets reconstruction. Police report summary. October 14, 2019. At approximately 6:45 a.m., a truck driver traveling along County Route 11 near Avery, Pennsylvania, stopped after spotting a disoriented man stumbling along the roadside. The man was later identified as Eric Malden, 34, of Avery. He appeared dehydrated, bruised, and visibly shaken. His knees and forearms bore fresh lacerations, and his clothes were torn and caked in mud. Toxicology tests later showed no drugs or alcohol in the system. But Eric's story, fragmented, feverish, and filled with missing hours, would soon become one of the strangest unsolved cases in northern Pennsylvania. A search of the site he described revealed disturbing evidence. A collapsed cabin deep in the forest, a burned pile, and several partially burned items of clothing. Investigators also recovered a trail camera containing 3 images, 2 clear, 1 corrupted. The final image showed a tall, distorted figure emerging from the cabin's cellar door. No trace of Eric's friend, Mark Hensley, has ever been found. "We weren't that close anymore," Eric began. "Not since high school." He described Mark Hensley as a quiet, capable guy, the kind of friend who always had a cigarette in his hand and a story half finished. They used to go off-roading and work on old cars, but life took them separate ways. Then out of nowhere, Mark texted him in early October. "Hey man, I need a hand cleaning out my uncle's cabin. The family wants it cleared before winter. Can pay you a bit, bring beer." Eric said he had a long weekend off work. It sounded simple enough. He agreed. They left Avery just after sunrise on Friday, October 11th. The weather was cold, heavy clouds rolling low across the hills. Once they turned off the main highway, the road narrowed to miles of dirt trail winding through the backwoods. The forest pressed in tight, trees draped with moss, leaning in strange angles as if drawn toward the truck. No cell signal, no houses, just woods, Eric said. It was like driving off the map. They arrived around 9 a.m. The cabin sat in a small clearing, surrounded by weeds waist-high and trees crowding too close. The porch was warped and cracked down the middle. Moss covered the roof, and one shutter swung loosely in the wind. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of wet wood, rust, and something sour underneath. The rooms were cluttered boxes, hunting gear, coffee cans, yellowed newspapers stacked like bricks. Mark said his uncle had been a bit of a hoarder, a doomsday type who didn't trust the grid. That first day was uneventful. They worked until sunset, dragging boxes to a burn pile out back. Eric remembered how the fire cracked and spit, the light bouncing off the tree line. By nightfall, they set up sleeping bags in the back bedroom. No electricity, just lanterns and a small propane burner for dinner. Eric described that first night as uneasy, but not terrifying, just the kind of quiet that makes you listen too hard. Around 10 p.m., Eric went to wash up at the kitchen sink and felt a cold draft brush past his legs, tracing it to the pantry. He moved aside some boxes and found a torn linoleum mat covering something in the floor. Beneath it, a trapdoor, small, square, with a metal ring to lift it. "Hey, Mark," he called out. "Was this always here?" Mark came over, squinted down, then shrugged. "Storage cellar, probably. My uncle was weird about stocking up on stuff." They pried it open. The hinges screamed. A wooden ladder led down into a dirt-walled space no more than 7 feet wide. Eric shone his flashlight inside shelves lined with rusted cans, old tools, and dust. Then he heard it, like clicking fingernails on metal. He said. Mark didn't notice. His flashlight was dying. Eric stepped down onto the dirt floor and instantly smelled something burnt like hair and melted plastic. His light flickered, then died. Mark tossed him a lantern. That flickered too. The air felt wrong, Eric recalled, like pressure in my chest. He climbed back up. They sealed the hatch and blamed it on bad batteries. But deep down, they both knew it wasn't that. The temperature dropped fast. The wind picked up. Branches tapped against the roof. Sometime past midnight, Eric woke to find Mark sitting upright, staring at the door. When Eric whispered to him, Mark didn't respond, just slowly laid back down. In the morning, Mark claimed he slept fine. That day, They kept working. But something had shifted. Eric said the air felt heavier. He found scratches on his calf, 3 thin red lines. He'd been wearing jeans the whole time. Mark just muttered, "Weird," and went back to sorting ammo. Later, they found a trail camera in Mark's uncle's closet and decided to set up outside, aimed toward the clearing just for fun. That night, everything changed. At 2:30 a.m., they heard 3 sharp knocks on the front door. Eric froze. Mark sat up instantly. Knock, knock, knock. Mark grabbed a flashlight and opened the door. Nothing, just empty woods, still air. But on the porch, in the frost, were bare human footprints, leading up to the door and stopping 3 feet short. They didn't sleep again that night. Morning came gray and silent. Mark was different, distant. Eric checked the trail cam, and there was one photo time-stamped just after midnight. It showed Mark standing at the porch, facing the woods, and behind him, something tall, crouched halfway behind a tree, long arms, wrong proportions. Before Eric could study it, Mark deleted the image. "Just a glitch," he said, voice flat. They didn't talk much that day. By late afternoon, Eric decided it was time to go. The unease had become suffocating. But when he went into the kitchen to pack, the trap door was open again. He swore they'd closed it. He even remembered Mark laying a blanket over it. Now the blanket was pushed aside and the smell faint, but real was back. Mark stood in the doorway, pale, trembling. "You opened it?" Eric asked. "It was already open," Mark whispered. Eric went down. The cellar felt colder, tighter. The dirt wall looked disturbed, small mounds pushed outward, like something had tunneled beneath. Then he felt it, a pressure shift. His ears popped. The wall moved. He swore it was breathing the dirt pulsing slowly, in and out. He heard a wet, sliding sound behind him and bolted up the ladder. Mark didn't ask what he saw. He didn't need to. That evening, as the sun died behind the trees, Eric finally asked, "Did your uncle ever say anything about this place?" Mark hesitated, then nodded. He said there was something in the walls. It started as scratching, then voices, then copies. Eric asked what he meant. Mark didn't answer. He walked outside into the trees. By nightfall, Mark still hadn't returned. Eric grabbed a flashlight and called out, "Mark." No answer, just the forest breathing. Then a voice came back. "Eric." It sounded like Mark almost, but wrong. Flat. The syllables are too evenly spaced, like someone mimicking a sound instead of speaking. Eric ran back inside, locked the door, shoved a heavy box over the cellar. At some point, exhaustion won. He dozed off. He dreamed of a reverse forest, white trees, black sky, no sound. When he woke, he was outside, standing barefoot in the woods. No flashlight, no shoes, hands bleeding. He walked for hours until he found the road. When police searched the property, they found both sleeping bags untouched, the trap door closed and sealed. No tunnels, no openings, no trace of Mark Hensley. The trail cam with 3 photos. The empty clearing, marked by the cabin door. A corrupted image of a human-like figure emerging from the cellar. Eric was treated for exposure and released. He later reported episodes of lost time waking up in different parts of his house with no memory of moving there. He has since refused all interviews. The cabin remains abandoned. Multiple realtors have listed it for sale, none successfully. Locals claim that on quiet nights, you can see odd lights flickering through the trees and hear knocking sounds from beneath the ground. Eric Malden survived, but whatever happened to Mark Hensley remains unknown. The cabin has since been condemned and sealed, though some investigators still argue the evidence points to environmental hallucination or mass psychosis. But then there's the final photo, the one that the police never released. One detective who saw it off record later said, "If that thing in the picture was a person, then it wasn't standing right." Thank you for watching Cold Case Secrets. If you found yourself unsettled, hit subscribe and share.